All right, next form we're going to look at is the Form 320, the Confirmation of Cooperation and Representation. This is an agreement between the buyers and the sellers and the agents that everyone will pay commission and how it does get paid. So you can see that it's the buyer and seller here that needs to be filled out with the street name. And as you go through it, you'll see that there is different seller brokerages, multiple rep, property unit, sold by a buyer brokerage, cooperating brokerage, that type of document. So let's have a look and see. More often than not, you're going to be doing 1A1, which is the seller brokerage or a designated representative of a seller brokerage represents the interest of the seller in this transaction. It is further understood and agreed to that neither the seller brokerage nor a designated representation of the seller brokerage is representing the buyer and has not entered into a representation agreement with the buyer. So this would be normally when you are representing the seller and another company is representing the buyer. Okay, so that would be 1A1. Then you go down and you go the cooperating brokerage right here. Cooperating brokerage or the cooperating represents the interest of the buyer in this transaction. And the cooperating brokerage would get paid a certain amount of commission. What I would like you to do is only fill in the part that you are representing. So as a confirmation of cooperation, you only need to fill in the seller brokerage because that's what you are. You're the seller brokerage. If you're in multiple representation, you go to 2AB, which is the seller brokerage has entered into a representation agreement with the buyer and there is multiple representation. Or the designated representative who represents the seller also represented the buyer, and there is multiple representation, which would be 2B. So we would be either 1A1 or 2B in multiple representation. The cooperating brokerage, we don't fill that out because that's up to them. The buyer initials, the cooperating brokerage initials, the seller initials, and the seller brokerage initials. And then on the back, their signatures for the cooperating brokerage's information and the listing brokerage's information. If it's multiple representation, you need to get the buyers and the sellers to initial that. And then you get the buyers and the sellers to acknowledge all of this information. So pretty much this tells who's who and who is getting paid when, and how that works is with the confirmation of cooperation. So we are cooperating. If you are doing a deal where there is no cooperating brokerage, then you don't need to have a Form 320 because this is confirmation of cooperation. In that case, you're not cooperating. So use this if you're the listing salesperson. Let the confirmation of cooperation be filled out by the cooperating brokerage on their own. Okay, Form 320.